"Freeze! You're under arrest for fraud and impersonation." The officer's shout echoed through the bustling precinct lobby, his hand slamming down on the reception desk like a gavel of judgment. The black woman at the counter didn't flinch, her eyes locking onto his with a calm that could freeze fire. But this wasn't just any mistaken identity. This was a ticking bomb of bigotry about to blow wide open. In the next explosive moments, a simple document request would ignite into a firestorm of exposed corruption, shattered egos, and a viral reckoning that would strip badges and reveal the ugly underbelly of power abuse. What started as a scammer takedown would end with the cop begging for mercy from the very woman he humiliated. Strap in, this is the raw, unfiltered tale of how one auditor's quiet storm dismantled a department's dirtiest secrets, proving that justice doesn't always wear a uniform. Sometimes it carries a briefcase. The morning sun filtered through the grimy windows of the downtown Metro Police Station in Atlanta, Georgia, casting long shadows across the linoleum floors worn down by years of hurried footsteps and dragged heels. It was a typical Tuesday, phones ringing off the hook, officers shuffling paperwork, and the faint scent of stale coffee mingling with the metallic tang of handcuffs. The lobby buzzed with activity, a harried mother reporting a stolen bike, a delivery driver arguing a ticket, and in the corner, a young couple whispering about a domestic dispute. Sergeant Victor Klein, a burly man in his late 40s with a paunch straining against his uniform shirt and a perpetual scowl etched into his ruddy face, manned the front desk. Victor had been on the force for over 2 decades, climbing the ranks through sheer grit, or so he told himself. In reality, it was a network of favors, overlooked complaints, and a blind eye turned to the necessary shortcuts that kept his record spotless on paper. He prided himself on his gut instincts, which more often than not meant profiling anyone who didn't fit his narrow view of respectable. Today, those instincts zeroed in on the woman approaching the counter. She was a black woman in her mid-30s, impeccably dressed in a charcoal gray pantsuit that screamed corporate executive, her natural coils pulled into a neat bun, gold earrings catching the light. She carried a leather briefcase and a tablet, her posture straight and purposeful. To any objective observer, she looked like a professional on a mission. But to Victor, she was an anomaly, a suspicious outsider in a place where he expected deference or desperation. "Good morning," she said, her voice smooth and professional, laced with a faint southern accent that hinted at roots in the Carolinas. "I'm here to request access to public records under the Georgia Open Records Act, specifically financial reports and overtime logs for the past fiscal year." Victor looked up from his computer screen, his eyes narrowing as he sized her up. No badge, no uniform, just a black woman asking for sensitive info. His mind raced through stereotypes: scammer, activist, trouble. He'd seen her kind before, trying to stir up drama with lawsuits or exposés. No way was he handing over department docs without a fight. "Name and ID," he barked, not bothering with pleasantries. She slid her driver's license across the counter. "Dr. Aisha Reynolds, I'm with the state auditor's office." Victor snatched the ID, glancing at it dismissively. Reynolds sounded made up, and doctor, probably one of those online degrees. He typed her name into the system slowly, buying time to build his case. No hits on warrants, clean as a whistle. That only made him more suspicious. "State auditor, yeah, right. What's your business with our records?" Aisha met his gaze steadily. "As I said, public records request. It's routine compliance review. You can verify my credentials if needed." Victor's lips curled into a smirk. Verify? Oh, he would. But first he'd make her squirm. He leaned back in his chair, crossing his arms. "Listen, lady, we get all sorts trying to pull fast ones here, fake IDs, fishing for info. You waltz in demanding financials. Smells like a scam to me." The lobby quieted slightly. Heads turned. Aisha's expression remained neutral, but inside, a familiar anger simmered. This wasn't her first rodeo with gatekeepers like him. Growing up in a small town where her father's corner store was routinely inspected more than others, she'd learned early that authority often hid behind prejudice. She channeled that into a PhD in forensic accounting and a career auditing public entities, exposing waste and corruption. But even with her credentials, encounters like this reminded her. To some, her skin was her only credential that mattered. "I'm not scamming anyone, Sergeant Klein," she said, reading his name tag. "This is official business. Denying access without cause violates state law." Victor stood up abruptly, his chair scraping loudly. "Official business, prove it. Show me some real ID, not this plastic junk." He gestured dismissively at her license. Aisha opened her briefcase, pulling out her state-issued badge and a formal letter on Auditor's office letterhead. "Here, and you can call my supervisor to confirm." Victor ignored the documents, his voice rising for the audience now gathering. "Call your supervisor? Nice try. I've seen better fakes from street hustlers. You're probably one of those identity thieves, fishing for personal data to sell on the dark web." He turned to a nearby officer, a young white rookie named Patel who looked uncomfortable. "Patel, cuff her. We're detaining this scammer until we sort this out." Patel's eyes widened. "Sarge, maybe we should." Now Victor snapped. Aisha's heart rate quickened, but she kept her cool. "This is unlawful detention. I advise you to reconsider." Victor laughed, a harsh bark that drew more stares. "Advise me? You're in my house now, sweetheart, hands behind your back." As Patel approached hesitantly with cuffs, the lobby erupted into murmurs. A few bystanders pulled out phones, recording discreetly. Aisha complied, allowing her wrists to be bound, her mind already cataloging violations: false imprisonment, racial profiling, abuse of authority. She'd seen it in audits, cops padding overtime, misallocating funds, even skimming from evidence lockers. But this was personal. Victor paraded her toward a holding room, his grip tight on her arm. "Think you're smart, huh? Coming in here like you own the place. We know your type, always looking for a handout or a lawsuit payout." Aisha said nothing, her silence more damning than words. Inside the room, he shoved her into a chair harder than necessary. "Sit tight, scammer. We'll run your prints and see what pops." He slammed the door, leaving her alone with her thoughts. Aisha closed her eyes, breathing deeply. This department had been on her radar for months. Whistleblower tips about embezzlement, ghost payrolls, and suspiciously high miscellaneous expenses. She'd requested the records anonymously at first, but stonewalling forced her hand. Now, this idiot had just handed her Exhibit A on a silver platter. Back in the lobby, Victor puffed up his chest, boasting to Patel, "See, gut never lies, bet she's got a rap sheet a mile long." But as minutes ticked by, doubt crept in. He finally picked up the phone, dialing the number on the letterhead she'd provided. A voice answered. "State Auditor's Office, how may I direct your call?" Victor cleared his throat. "Yeah, this is Sergeant Klein, Metro PD. Got a woman here claiming to be Dr. Aisha Reynolds. Says she's auditing us." A pause, then, "One moment." The line clicked, and a stern male voice came on. "This is Director Harlan. Dr. Reynolds is indeed our lead auditor on your department's compliance review. Why are you calling?" Victor's stomach dropped. Routine verification. She's here now." "Good. Provide full access as requested. And Sergeant, any obstruction could lead to charges. She's investigating potential financial irregularities, including overtime fraud by senior staff." The phone felt like lead in Victor's hand. Irregularities, overtime fraud. His mind flashed to the extra shifts he'd logged, fake hours to pad his paycheck, approved by buddies in payroll. The ghost employees he'd helped cover for. The slush fund for department morale that funded fishing trips and bar tabs. Sweat beaded on his forehead. He hung up, staring at the door to the holding room. "No, this couldn't be," he burst in, face pale. Who exactly are you auditing?" Aisha looked up, cuffs still on, her voice ice cold. "Among others, You Sergeant Klein, your overtime logs show 200 extra hours last quarter, during weeks you were on vacation per social media posts. That's fraud. And now, add false detention and harassment to the list. Victor's world tilted. This is a mistake. I was just doing your job, Aisha finished. Like when you approved reimbursements for non-existent equipment, or the vendor kickbacks traced to your personal account. He staggered back. How did she know? The audits weren't public yet, but she'd been digging deep, cross-referencing bank records, emails, even deleted files recovered through forensics. Patel knocked timidly. Sarge, captain's on the line, says the auditor's office called, and there's video going viral. Bystanders posted the arrest. Victor glanced at his phone, notifications exploding. Clips of him yelling scammer, cuffing her, the humiliation plane. Hashtags, police brutality, racist cop audit this. Comments flooded, typical profiling, fire him, justice for Dr. Reynolds. The captain arrived minutes later, a no-nonsense woman named Ramirez, her face thunderous. Uncuff her. Now, Dr. Reynolds, my deepest apologies. Full cooperation from here on. Aisha stood as the cuffs came off, rubbing her wrists. Apologies won't suffice. This incident is now part of my report to the state attorney general. Victor's knees buckled. Please. I have a family pension. It was just what? Systemic corruption enabled by bias. Aisha gathered her things. You saw a black woman and assumed criminal. That's not instinct, that's racism. And it just cost you everything. The aftermath was swift and merciless. By evening, the story dominated local news. Cop calls auditor scammer, now faces charges. Protests swelled outside the station demanding reforms. Victor was suspended without pay, then fired after the full audit dropped. $500,000 in misappropriated funds, half linked to him and his cronies. Criminal charges followed: embezzlement, fraud, civil rights violations. His pension evaporated. His marriage crumbled under the scandal. Aisha, meanwhile, became a reluctant hero. Interviews on CNN, features in the New York Times. She used the spotlight to advocate for mandatory bias training and independent oversight in policing. The department overhauled policies, body cams for all desk interactions, anonymous reporting hotlines, and annual audits by diverse teams. But for Aisha, it was bittersweet. In her quiet Atlanta apartment that night, she poured a glass of wine, staring at the city lights. The victory felt hollow against the backdrop of countless similar stories, unrecorded, unresolved. She'd won this battle, but the war on systemic racism raged on. Yet as she drafted her next audit request, a small smile crept in. One exposed truth at a time. Sometimes the pen, and the truth it uncovers, is mightier than the badge. And in the end, Sergeant Klein learned the hard way. Humiliate the wrong person and your own secrets come tumbling out. Justice isn't blind. It sees everything, especially when you least expect it.